From the state of Florida, the Ecosystem Management Program, Pamela Vetty and Ernest Barnett.
Thank you very much. Our innovation, ecosystem management, addresses two national trends that we believe threaten our quality of life and that of the future generations. The first is the continuing environmental degradation that's manifesting itself in an escalating loss of species and the ecosystems that support them and that support us. Also, the growing public apathy and contempt for government. I'm a long-term environmental professional, and I'm keenly aware of how serious these issues are and how serious our failure to address them is becoming. The list of environmental problems in Florida is long and sad. We have mercury in fish, we have dwindling wildlife habitat, we have hazardous waste sites, we've even had the collapse of an entire bay system that affected 2 major fisheries in the state of Florida. And just as sad is the fact that our citizens, who should be our partners in this, in the past feel that government has been out of touch, inefficient, and incompetent. We needed a change in Florida, a revolution, a return to self-determination, personal accountability, and civic responsibility, a recognition that government alone was not going to save the environment, that it takes everybody, a new ethic of environmental stewardship, and a commitment to achieving a sustainable way of life. Ecosystem management is the path to these changes. It's about better use of science, reinventing government, protecting biodiversity, and it's about cultural change. In 1961, George Benson wrote, "Only where the people of a nation have adequate powers of decision can they develop a public spirit." We're giving the people of Florida, all the people, not just the influential people, the power and responsibility to make a difference. We're making them full partners in environmental protection. Ecosystem management was born of the knowledge that what we've been doing for nearly 30 years is not working in spite of all of our best efforts. The old framework managed the environment as if it were a collection of unrelated parts. Under ecosystem management, the framework treats the environment as a system of interconnected parts that includes humans and human values. The old structure was based on artificial political and administrative boundaries. Ecosystem management is based on ecological boundaries. The old approach emphasized controlling pollution. The new approach emphasizes preventing pollution. The old regulatory process was inflexible and contained rigid rules. The new regulatory process emphasizes innovative, cooperative problem solving and process flexibility. The old structure reacted, the new approach anticipates. I wish I could convey the sense of excitement that's going on in Florida with this, or tell you about the hundreds of projects that are underway. But I can tell you that it's being implemented and it's effective. Last fall, we set a goal to have 10 ecosystem management teams established by the year 2000. We have 30 of them already underway. Our new common sense regulatory approach has proven that we can get applicants to go beyond standards, provide greater environmental protection, and they can save millions of dollars. We've had hundreds of people involved in developing this approach. We now have thousands of people involved in implementing this approach, and it can be applied by other people. The Environmental Protection Agency is copying what we're doing. Other states are copying. We've had a number of foreign countries come to visit us and ask for ecosystem field trips and presentations on what we're doing. Ecosystem management really is a revolution. It's an entirely new way of protecting the environment. It integrates programs and agencies and people within ecosystems. It reinvents regulation and enforcement with an emphasis on common sense and on-the-ground results in a place. And last, it returns government to its citizens. Thank you.
Are there questions from the committee? Let's start with Dot, and then Don, and then Max, and Margot. I think we're going to have to add another 20 minutes to this, but
Mine will be quick. as an 8-year resident of Florida until just earlier this year, what you say resonates very strongly with me, and it certainly sounds as though this, I think it's an exciting program. My question is even when I left in March, there still was the first pilot project, I believe, was really just getting underway just north of where I live. So, I mean, it's an exciting concept, but what results can we offer even at this point? Is it not at the point where maybe we don't quite know yet?
Yes, we have some really excellent results, and let me let Ernie share one of the place-based ones with you, and we have a regulatory one that will knock your socks off. It's so amazing.
You're correct. There were initially 3 pilot projects, and we were finishing the one in the Hillsborough.
Yeah,
but what had happened in the meantime is, without legislative mandate, some 30-odd place-based initiatives sprung to life. One I'd like to share with you is a small bayou in Pensacola. The city of Pensacola is one of the oldest cities in America. Had been traditionally heavily urbanized. This was an old working waterfront. There had been tank farms, oil spills, shrimp boats capsized, creosote plants discharging into this little bayou. A neighborhood association, a group of citizens went to DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection, and their local government and said, we need to do something about this. We pulled together a group of folks, involved the citizens, and we worked together to have the citizens tell the agencies, what are your key environmental issues? In the past 12 months, we have worked together. We have taken federal grant monies from EPA, directed that into building stormwater retrofitting into the urbanized arm of the body of water. So we captured and treated the stormwater entering it. Our Florida Marine Patrol worked with the citizens, identified where there were vessels sunk. We worked together to pull those out. And one of the interesting things with this bayou was so old and so polluted that it was historically known in the area was the place to bring your boat up into and anchor because it would kill all the barnacles on the bottom of your boat. What has happened, and we are so pleased to say this, the only people who are upset with us in the city of Pensacola are those people who used to bring their boats up into the bayou because we now have seagrasses growing on the bottom of the bay and the barnacles are living.
The next question will be from Don, and I have a whole list. Let me run through the list. Don, Max, Margot.
I'll let Margot take mine.
Okay.
Oh, I just wanted to hear the management innovation that you said there were
The
two.
regulatory innovation.
Regulatory, yes.
It involves, and I'm going to say this really fast, and I don't normally talk this fast, and I can tell this in a lot more detail slowly, but it involves a citrus processing facility in LaBelle, Florida, who used to get 7 different permits from us, was always in violation, out of compliance. They worked with us in developing this new approach and said they'd like to come in and try it. And so what they suggested, and we agreed to, instead of issuing 7 different permits, which was not only us but other agencies, we agreed that everything would be collapsed into an operations manual that every employee in that facility could read, could understand. It became a condition of their employment in that area. In exchange for us providing them this kind of process flexibility, they agreed to provide greater environmental protection. They've reduced air emissions, they've reduced discharges to the water quality, they are recycling water out there, and they have a major solid waste recycling program. And the best of all, besides getting more environmental protection in exchange for process flexibility, the company is literally saving millions of dollars because we allowed them to have this kind of flexibility and approach.
Antonio, followed by Barbara.
You've given us two examples of success. Do you have outside evaluators who can verify the success? I think it's wonderful. It's just, for me, it's a little too new.
Well, this is brand new. I mean, we officially started full tilt last October in this project, although these place-based efforts we started a year ago just to demonstrate to people that this could be done on a place basis. We have critics everywhere that are constantly evaluating us. One of the things we promised to do, we haven't done, and we will do, is set up another citizens-based oversight committee to evaluate how well we're following through on what we committed to do.
The last question, Barbara.
I don't have to tell you in the state of Florida on environmental issues and sustainability that time is not your friend.
Right.
Trying to slow down land conversion and basically taking that land into development rather than holding it in some other ways is not really a state issue because it's at the local level, the decision making in your state. And all counties and cities and jurisdictions do not agree with where you're doing. How are you going to make this work if you have no state ability to set standards at the local level?
We are initiating a private land stewardship program. We're working with 29 of the largest landowners in Florida who own 14 million acres of land, which is almost half the acreage in the state of Florida. These people are frustrated and they want to be good environmental stewards, and we're actually bringing staff on board to help provide incentives, economic and regulatory